One thing queer, one thing queer, one thing queer. Let's get one thing queer. Let's get one thing queer.
Hello and welcome to One Thing Queer. My name is Jenny Baton and my pronouns are they, them.
And I'm Kelsey Wren, and my pronouns are she, her.
Hello, friend.
Hello.
I feel like I haven't seen you in forever.
It's been a while.
It's been
to be
since
real.
Thursday, and that's like a long time for us.
That is a long time.
It is currently Tuesday
Yeah.
of the following week.
Yeah. And Adrian's episode dropped today.
Yes.
Yeah, it was great.
If you have not listened to Adrian's episode, go, because you will have laughs, you will cry, you will have all the emotions.
I remember looking at you when we were recording, and I was like, I can't look at you right now because I'm gonna cry. You're gonna cry.
He was definitely making me emotional.
Yeah, I could tell.
Yeah.
Because I was like, do not look at you right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the only time you ever look at me is when we're alone. And then, like, sometimes you regret it because, you know,
I'm gonna cry.
I have a tendency to make you cry.
Yeah, I'm like, I know I can't look at you because you're gonna make me cry.
I'm like, feel your emotion.
It's because your eyes are like exactly like feel it. I'm like, no, you can't make me.
I'm a passionate being. I'm a passionate being, friend.
Yes, I'm aware. Fire sign.
Yeah, passionate.
I love my fire signs.
And we're in Aries season.
We are.
We're in like the midst of it. And my birthday's like in how many days? Less than 10.
Yeah.
And I feel like Aries season is flying by, which is very on brand for Aries season because it's
is.
very fast action. Fast action time. And I definitely feel that energy.
Yeah.
Especially right now.
I'm already like, oh, it's almost gone.
It's almost gone. I feel like it flies by so quickly every year.
Yeah. I'm also the same thing that happens every year where I'm like, oh, it's April already? God, like, ugh, what happened?
It was just New Year's.
January takes 3 years.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the year is like a blink of an eye.
Exactly. No, Pisces season was also draggy.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about it.
Yeah. Anywho, but yeah, how have you been?
I've been good. I went to an escape room for the first time.
I'm so jealous.
It was so fun. I went for my cousin's birthday, also a fellow Aries, and it was so much fun. We had to solve not a murder mystery. Basically, we just had to find who the next victim was going to be because we already knew who the killer was.
Oh my God.
And there was a point, let me start from the beginning. Rewinding. So it's 10 of us, and we walk into this like tiny ass room, and we're just like, okay, we need to gather, like, you know, we need to do critical thinking. We need to gather artifacts and like figure something out, and then we have to unlock. There's like locks in this desk, and yeah, you basically just have to solve it slowly. And then there was this bookcase, and obviously we were like, oh, it's definitely a door, and it's going to lead us to another room. And yeah, sure enough, we placed one of the plates. It was like the lock that made it unlock the bookcase. And then we entered a new room, and then we had to like finish solving it, and we ended up solving it. We had an hour, and we solved it in like 50 minutes.
Nice.
So it was so much fun.
I'm very jelly.
I kind of want to go to one, and I kind of want to do a scary one, but I'd also be okay with, like, I know you wouldn't be down for a scary one, so like if we did go, I'm totally down to just do like a not scary one, but it was a lot of fun.
Oh, okay. Well, what does scary entail? Do they pop out at you or something?
My brother was telling me about this place he went to, also an escape room, and that, yeah, there were like
There's like a man with a chainsaw in there.
kind of,
Oh,
yeah.
God. Yeah, I can't.
And then you had to like crawl through the tunnel and
nope.
all that.
Nope. Hard no. I'm sorry.
But the one we did was like, I mean, I can't do it again, but they had some that weren't scary, and like we didn't have to jump or crawl into anything.
I just feel like crawling through things or like the touching. I'm like, just don't touch me.
Yeah, I feel you.
Ooh, that sounds really fun though.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, that was like the highlight of the week. How about
Nice.
you?
Wow. I had an interesting weekend.
You've been a busy bee.
I have been a busy bee. I met neighbors, which was really cool. Well, that's all I'm going to say about that. It was really cool, though. I mean, like, we like them, so we hung out with them twice over the weekend, which was cool.
You really like that.
We do really like them. And then I went to a friend's birthday kind of lunch thingy. We went to Little Barn Cafe, which is dope, and it's all vegan. It's really good. And then we went to the Los Feliz flea market thing. I've never been there before. I was really tired, but it was really cool, but I kind of felt like it was a little bit expensive.
Yeah.
Because it's all their like reselling, like
vintage clothes and furniture.
they had like a pin vendor and they had some other stuff there. It was really cool, but I was just like, whoa, it was all very new for me.
Yeah.
I drove to LA for the first time in like 3 years.
I was literally thinking about this earlier. I'm like, I can't believe Kels like drove into LA.
That's what everybody said. They were like, what are you doing out here? Like, I don't know. I made it apparently. It was very stressful. I was a little bit tired too. So I was like very like, okay, you need to really focus right now because you're driving and you haven't been here in a long time. But it kind of just came naturally once I got into the city. But it was very like I was getting flashbacks from driving all those times before.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was fun though. And then I was like, after the market, I was kind of like, I'm wiped. I'm gonna go home.
Yeah.
I felt bad, but I was like, I was tired. And
At least you had like a little dose.
yeah, I tried.
Yeah.
To me, that's trying is what matters, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then on Thursday, we went to the Huntington Library.
We did.
Candace?
How on earth did I forget that? Yes. That was also a highlight.
It was really fun.
It was so much
And
fun.
we had a blast. And like we had tea burgers, which was dope.
Tea Burgers is the spot if you're ever in Monrovia, California. If you want a good burger and the best fries ever.
Y'all, Jenny has told me about these fries like no less than 5 times. And they were well worth it. The ranch too. The burger was great. The the whole thing, it was great. And then Candace got an orange bang, which I didn't know they had, and she somehow clocked that they had it, and it was like, I was like, what? I should have got one. It looked so good. I should have got one of those. She made the right choice, but it was good and we had fun. It was
so
just a really, really good day.
Yeah.
It was cool.
It was very delightful. I think we were there for what, like 3 hours or something?
Yeah, something like that. And I was kind of like, wow, like there was a lot to see. I feel like we saw a lot of it, but
Yeah.
I was like, is that enough time? But I think we were all kind of like tired by the end of it.
Yeah, we went to like the little shop and we got some tea.
Yeah. And I got a bee house.
And you got a bee house. Did you put it up already?
No.
You're not ready for the bees?
Well, no, you'll realize that we'll buy stuff and it sits on that my kitchen table for a couple weeks and then we'll finally do what we're meant to do with it.
I feel that.
I did have the tea though.
It's so
It's so good. I was sneezing afterwards. So I was like, I wonder if I'm allergic to this. But it was really good, so I'm gonna keep drinking it.
It's so good. It was a cream Earl Grey.
Yeah, and it had what is it called? I always talk about it.
Lavender?
No, not lavender. Bergamot.
Bergamot oil. Oh yeah, bergamot oil.
My favorite.
Yeah, I put a little bit of oat milk with a little agave. Ugh,
Nice.
so good, friend. Try it like that.
I will. That sounds amazing.
I don't know if you have a frother, but
I do.
Okay, well, I want to get a frother because I'm like, I feel like Earl Grey with like frothy milk, creamy, and then like a little agave for like this added sweetness.
I'm dead because I was literally told by another person recently to do the same exact thing.
Well, I used to make like hottie toddies from Earl Grey tea, like with gin. I don't know if I've told the story before, but my friend Brenda, when she got married, it was a dry wedding.
Oh, okay.
And so she's like, it's a dry wedding, so like if you want to drink, take flasks.
Okay.
So I took a flask of gin because my friend Angie's boyfriend had given me gin for my birthday that year, so I just had a bottle of gin. And I was like, okay, gin's actually not that bad.
Oh, okay.
Especially in tea. And so like I was like in this like vibe of like drinking 2 or 3 cups of tea at night. And so one day I was like, I made Earl Grey tea and I was like drinking it and I was like, I'm gonna try to put gin in it and see like if it tastes good. And I put it in, it's the best type of hottie toddy you could ever have.
Gonna try that.
Yeah. And I told someone about it and they're like, try it with frothy milk. I'm like, sounds weird, but
That tea in particular with like frothy milk sounds amazing because it was already kind of creamy and it like has that vanilla-y kind of scent to it. Oh, okay, I'm gonna try that.
delightful.
Well, there we go.
There we go. That is the end of Shoot. Shooting the shit.
You got it.
I got it.
So what are we talking about today?
What are we talking about today?
Oh boy. We're gonna talk about the straight agenda. So
Fuck the straight agenda.
oh my bad, yeah. Yeah, fuck it. I can't say it.
I'm the one always cussing in the episode.
I mean, I try. It comes and it goes. You have
we
to
are
get mad. I only cuss a lot when I get mad.
Yeah, we are explicit, so
So I probably will cuss during this one. So I was listening to, this is how this came about. I suppose I was going to wait to tell you here. So I was listening to the last episode and you had mentioned something. Let me pull out my notes because I did make notes. You had mentioned something about how homophobia is so ingrained in us from when we're children. And it made me think about that. And I had just come across another TikTok, which we love TikTok. I had come across, it was like fate. Because it was like the second or third when I saw that when I went on my phone afterwards. And I was like, oh my God, this is like, I need to talk about this because it relates to what we were talking about. I don't know if I want to play it. Do we play it first or we just...
I say we'll play it first and then we can
Okay.
discuss it.
So the TikToker, his name is The Conscious Lee. He does a lot of like social awareness. He does a lot of Black creator stuff where he talks about like, you know, the community and kind of he's a teacher also. He's like super smart and he puts things in such a good way that it just makes sense to me. But he's really cool. So I'm gonna play it. Oh, just kidding.
Let me start it again. Heterosexual is a sexual identity. If a child knows mommy and daddy, husband and wife, or boyfriend and girlfriend, they know something about sexual orientation. The topic of sexual orientation is in your kid's face everywhere, every day, not just when you discuss gays. And this is what I mean by straight agenda. The straight agenda is so pervasive, it pushes people in the closet that do not conform with it. I'd argue that 90% of kids' cartoons are manufactured with heterosexual romantic narratives. It's one of my main issues with the folks that be like, man, I ain't got no issue with the LGBT community. We just don't need to be pushing sexuality to kids. But you ain't got none of that energy when it comes to Netflix or Disney pushing heterosexual relationship, sexual orientations to the kids. It is completely normalized for us to have heterosexual expectations when it comes to middle school kids going to school dances. And that's on heteronorm.
We can post it too if we want.
We're going to post it, yeah. We're going to post it on the Instagram and show notes.
Yeah, sure. Just in case it didn't come through clear.
Yeah.
But basically, he's talking about how the heteronormative agenda, straight agenda, is so ingrained that we don't even think of it as it being talking about like sexuality with kids.
Yeah.
Like there's plenty of times where we've seen that. Like even in any kind of media that we consume as kids, that we never have to clarify that this couple is a straight couple. It's just assumed.
Yeah, it's just assumed.
It's assumed, and usually that's what they are because they don't really show other types, you know? I just thought it was so interesting how he talks about that because we see that a lot where it's like, oh, the gay agenda, they're attacking your kids. They want it, you know, they want... it's going to get fiery. They want to, you know, they want to push this sexuality on kids, but like, kids are already asking questions, and there's plenty of times where we talk to kids, or not me personally, but people talk to kids and they're like, oh, do you have a boyfriend? Like, who's your boyfriend? And they're in kindergarten.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen that. That's happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, what do you all expect, you know? I think the reason why it's so hard for people to come out is because there's like a default expectation of this is, and Adrian actually talked about this too. It's like, you know, your parents kind of set up like, oh, one day you're going to be married to a man or a woman and you're going to have kids. It's like, it's not an option.
Yeah.
That in itself is just not fair because you're kind of taking away free will.
That's
from
something
human.
that's something he says too, is that it's so ingrained in us that it's like, let me see what he says. It's so ingrained in us that we actually like think of it as like the norm, like that's why people think that's what normal is, because it's so ingrained. Like we can talk about it with like Disney movies, like, you know, there's actually another article I'm going to be referencing. It's on, we'll link that also. It's on outwrittennewsmag.org. It's called The Straight Agenda, and it's written by Cole Lopez, and they go by they, them. So that's something that they talk about, is that, like, you know, like there was, I guess in Toy Story 4, there was like a, like some scandal where like when the kids are being picked up from the playground, two moms are picking up the kids, and it was a huge flippin' deal. But like no one has an issue with Little Mermaid marrying this guy at 16 when she's known him for 3 days.
Exactly.
Like it's, no one has a problem with her, the story of her changing her her whole identity to attract this man. And that's what we're supposed to learn.
Yeah, and it just like falls under that lack of example of what love really is, and love can look in so many different ways, and it's only painted in one particular way in the media. When do you see a trans main character?
Yeah.
When do you see honestly, like, when do we ever really see queer representation as like the main character? It's always like the supporting actor, and that in itself is that's what we're doing wrong.
Yeah. And like, even in that article, they were talking about that, like, they were trying to look for a kids movie for their kid and was trying to find any kind of queer representation, and they couldn't. And like, one of the ones that they found has a little bit more R-rated, so they were like, well, I don't want to show my child that.
Yep.
But there's nothing for them to show their kids to see that, look, it's different. Like Adrian was saying, is that it's like, you know, we're shown so many things that are, you need to be this way. And I had kind of said it like, well, but what if I'm not? Like, what do I do then? You know, that's where the representation comes in. There's so many things that, like, even in clothing, like, it's actually funny that in this, I never thought about this before, but even in this article, they talk about like kids' nursery rhymes, like that shark. Like the shark, we know the song, the like
Baby shark?
Yes, but the next line is like mommy shark and daddy shark. Like,
Why can't we have mommy
mommy
or
not that?
Why can't we have parent?
Yeah, or grandma, or, you know,
Grandpa.
or sister, because, you know, my sister raises me. Like, even just families like that, who it's like your sister's raising you, or your brother, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, there's not even that, but we have so much straight representation, basically, that even it's in these little kids' clothes, where it's like, you know, like, hey, kids, you know, lock up your daughters. My son's on the prowl.
Heartbreaker.
Yeah. Or it's like daddy's wingman.
Oh my God.
It's so
That's so cringy.
It is. It's really gross. And it's like, it's so frustrating when people are like, oh, like, we don't want gay people to push this on our children. Like, you've pushed the other way our entire lives, which is why we've needed to feel like, or which is why we felt like we needed to be in the closet, because we couldn't understand why we were different. Yeah.
Because I have no doubt in my mind that there are so many people that will get to the end of their life and they never felt safe coming out because of the lack of representation. And that is incredibly sad when you think about it.
Yeah.
You know, and I do want to mention my cousin the other day. She has 2 daughters, and she's like, we go to the library, and she showed me this book of this non-binary character. And it's a children's book. And it was literally the most precious book, and I cannot remember the name, but I will find it and link it in the show notes.
Okay.
And I love to see that our generation in my family, like, we're breaking all these things. And, you know, she's teaching her kids that because, you know, they have me, you know, they're my nieces. So it's like they have me as a non-binary person in their life. And so it goes to show that if it just creates a safe space for them.
Yeah.
And seeing that, oh, okay, like in this book, like, this is possible.
And that's what representation does too, is it helps normalize it. It helps, because right now our quote unquote normal, or our default, is supposed to be straight, hetero, cis, you know.
Man, woman.
Yeah, but people are not like that. And it's, you know, it's frustrating for somebody who's not. And I think even with representation, I think when we do have queer representation, we need to have better ones, in the meaning of that, like, a lot of times, even in this article, they talk about it, a lot of times that it's like a traumatic story and it's like a hardship. So it puts in your mind that if you are a queer person, that this is what you're supposed to have, is hardship and, you know, trouble in life, and the straight stories don't have that.
Yeah.
So the representation we need to do better. Also, the ones that we do get, where we get, you know, a happy story.
Yeah.
You know.
And I mean, and you even see that in like just like not adult films, but like just like any queer movie, majority of the queer movies. And we talked about this on the episode of what was it, the one with Kristen Stewart.
Oh, The Happiest Season.
Yeah,
Oh.
we mentioned it on the episode of The Happiest Season, where it's like, why must all these queer representation movies always, like, why do they always have to be toxic?
Yeah.
And why can't we have a storyline where it's just like an ordinary love story?
Yeah.
I was always also scared to come out because I didn't have that representation. I didn't have plenty of queer examples of queer relationships, and therefore that scared me, because I was like, oh, I only see like successful hetero relationships. Yeah, I see toxic ones
I'll
too.
say, even at that, we don't see a lot of successful ones.
Yeah, even at that. But it's like, you know, like me finally having that experience in a queer relationship, like it really, really made it feel the way people talk about it, you know, when they talk about pure love.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we need to show that more.
Yeah, that's kind of what Adrian was talking about. Like, this is what it's supposed to feel like. Yeah. Like, you know, that's really, I mean, that's what I'm talking about when it's like, we're told one way and it doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
So what do you do then? How do you know, as a kid, like, how do you rectify that? Yeah, I know a lot of parents don't want kids to think about those things, but kids do. Kids are curious. They, you know, kids all ask, they wonder. So the best way is to show them different examples, you know, and like, because they might be struggling with something that you have no idea about, you know?
Yeah. And like pushing or like withdrawing from talking about it is not gonna stop them from being who they are. You know, it might stop them for a while, but eventually they might not.
Yeah, it's gonna stop them from expressing it to you, and you're gonna break that bond, but they're still gonna be who they are.
Yeah, and in doing so, like, all you're creating as a parent, if you're creating these barriers or this stigma around the idea of who your kid can possibly be, all you're creating is space in between you and them and your relationship.
It's a wall.
It's a wall, and you're never really gonna be able to get deep down, you know, and be super close to them, because that's who they are. And by you just trying to pretend like that doesn't exist, that's not benefiting you or them or anyone.
There's actually something in the article where they talk about that, like, a lot of times, like, what we hear from people is like, I don't care who you love is love, whatever. Like, but what they mean is like, I don't care who you love, but it doesn't have to be shoved in our face, which is annoying, because
heterosexuality is shoved in our
yes,
face.
the straight agenda is shoved in our face with everything. It's so ingrained in us that it's the quote unquote normal. We don't know any different. That's why people think the bad things they think, or they are homophobic, is because they think it's a bad way. They don't think of it as another normal. Like, it just is.
And if anything, I feel like it makes it like for me, for example, it took me 29 years to come out, and it makes me be more loud about being gay.
Yeah.
The fact that I had to withdraw from ever expressing that I was gay. Yeah. So now I'm fucking loud about it, because I was suppressing all myself. I was suppressing like all of who I was for other people, and now I'm fucking gay as fuck. And I'm loud about it. Yeah, but it's just
That's always like, people are like, oh, but you make it your whole personality. Well, like, yeah, but straight is your whole personality also. It is. It's just we don't think of it as the other, so it's normal, quote unquote, for you to do it. That's the thing too, is I think like sometimes people are like, oh, we kind of like aren't. I have that feeling because I'm a Gemini. I'm gonna see the other side of it now. Aren't we doing the same thing that they're doing, is trying to push it out there also? But like, to me, yes, we're trying to push back. Yes, because it's been pushed on us so much. Even like, we can both attest that like, hearing those things as kids, and like even mine was partly true because I do like men, like, you know, but there was always something different. I always knew something was different, and I didn't understand why, because there was no representation, and the little bit that I had in my aunt, it was disregarded. And you know, and there was no kind of characters or anything. Like my mom didn't really monitor what we watched a lot, but even like there wasn't even anything for me to stumble into to kind of be like, oh, this kind of person like makes sense. Now looking back, I kind of see it, like Daria, like those kind of cartoons. Like I see it now. I'm like, oh, okay. They kind of, it was underlying, but it still wasn't outright queer representation.
No.
And that's something I want to touch on too in the article. They talk about talking about the difference between when we do get queer representation. So like the quote is, again and again, straightness equals living happily ever after, and not straight equals turmoil, guilt, and loneliness, which is crap. Like, it sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks.
It sucks that the only representation that we have of like, it was just porn.
Yeah.
It was just porn.
Oh my God.
And that's where I feel like the sexualization of being gay kind of stemmed from. It's just like the only, you know, source of media that we had was porn. So it was like, oh, it's, you know, categorized as like bad because
I sighed because it's all these people who make laws, which I guarantee your porn history is filled with two women. Like,
yes.
So like, dude, it's so ridiculous. And it's also the stigma between they can watch two women, but they would never watch two men because it's bad. You know,
but you know, secretly they are.
I mean, yeah. It's not so much a secret. It looks like. Like, it's just so frustrating. The hypocrisy in it is really, I think, frustrating when I hear the like, you know, we don't want our kids to learn about that stuff, and it's like, well, but they already do. If they like in that TikTok, if they know mommy and daddy, if they know husband and wife, if they know boyfriend girlfriend, they've already been taught that, and you're just making them feel much more lonely when they don't. You know, they don't feel that way.
And honestly, TikTok, I feel like, is kind of a step in the right direction as far as like, you know, kids are on TikTok. And what is on TikTok? It's representation of reality, of queer love, of queer families. I follow so many queer families on there. and it's great and it's beautiful. And I love that these families are, you know, using a platform to kind of just educate people of how beautiful a queer family can be.
Yeah.
And there's been so many times where I've like come across videos. Like I came across this video of a girl and she has two dads and she's straight.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm so straight. And like my I guess it was like she has two dads and two moms.
I think I saw the same exact one, but they were friends and they decided, I'm like,
and they decided to kind of co-parent her. So she literally has four gay parents,
and it's 4 loving parents.
Yes,
like that's amazing.
And instead of like 2, she has 4.
Yeah.
And she's like, and I'm straight as fuck. So no, like you know, that just goes to show like all the bullshit people, you know, say about, oh, if you know, if there's a queer family that has a kid or adopts a child, they're gonna influence the child into being gay.
That's the kind of stuff that also shows me that it's not learned. It's who you were born as.
Exactly.
Like you don't learn, like, because I feel like too, if you tell any straight person who is, I know you don't believe in 100% straight, but I do for some people.
Yeah.
So if you tell any person who's 100% straight and they're like, no, I really wouldn't do that, like, you wouldn't be able to convince them otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's not a learned behavior. It's like, because there's a lot of times too when they're talking about like pushing the gay agenda on kids. There was a video I saw and it was disgusting. I described it earlier, but it's like there's like this spring break almost, and there's these girls like twerking on a stage, and this man holds up this little baby behind the girl twerking. It's a little a little boy baby, I guess, and like holds up the baby behind the girl who's twerking, so it looks like she's twerking on him. And I'm like, he's a baby, dude. Like I really almost vomited in my mouth because it was like the grossest thing I've ever seen. And that's even like the TikTok is like the person is like, and you want to say that gay people are sexualizing kids? Like, you're literally doing this to a child, and it's gross.
And it's the same people that are doing shit like that that are the ones that are talking about you know, how we should silence
Yeah.
and not say gay.
Yeah.
That's a whole other topic and I don't really want to burn anything right now. So
Well, we could burn the fucking shit down. See? It's so frustrating. Like, I don't know. I think you've seen that quote going around too. There's some Instagrams where it's like, we're not like trying to turn your straight kids gay. We're just trying to make sure your gay kids live.
and they feel safe.
And they feel safe. And that's it. And I really like that about Adrian's episode too, is that he was really like, you're not alone. Reach out to the community. And like, I know it's hard for sometimes kids to find communities and stuff. And because they're kids and their parents ultimately have a say in where they go and things like that, which is whole nother topic.
Yep.
But I don't know, like, not that we're ending it right now. It feels like we're ending it, but we're not.
No.
I just want parents to give them like resources. Like, you can monitor, you can make sure they're safe, because I'm not going to say that there's not predators. There's predators everywhere.
Yep.
You can make sure that they're safe, but like the resources, books, like we have so many books about straight, you know, but the Disney movies, like you know, songs, like there's so much other ways to show them that other lifestyles exist than just like throwing them into like a support group. Like,
Exactly.
you know,
It's like limiting food menu.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you can only have beans and rice.
yeah. Oh, I like beans and rice, but not forever.
Yeah. And it's like, there's a whole, like, there's vegetables, there's fruits, there's seasoning. Like, you're literally taking away free will.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
don't realize this. And people, usually the homophobic people are the ones that tend to be Christian.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're literally taking away free will.
I thought that was his whole point, is to give us free will.
It's so
Dude, don't even
confusing.
get me. I'm sorry, don't even get me started in that. Ugh, I could go on forever. If you ever want to talk like organized religion with me, one-on-one, I'm all ears, but I don't want to make everybody mad. So,
Yeah.
I mean, not that I feel like I would make people mad, but
Who knows? I mean, there'll be someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's ridiculous. And I see that there's progress happening with like the
Yeah.
book that my cousin showed me. And I see that there are people that are making an effort to create more awareness. But I mean, we have so much work to do.
is.
And we just have to demand these things.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we can't keep this in the dark forever. And it's, you know, it's coming to the light now.
I feel like too, like, I mean, it's up to us to like, or in the community to go out and make those things, but I also feel like it's up to straight people to do the same thing. Like, I do commend the people who like will show their kids different kinds of things and they're straight, because they don't know what their kids are, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kids again, but it's not about showing. You're not gonna like, here's two women together, here's two men together. Like, that's not that's not what anybody means. Like, just showing like happy stories, or, you know, books of like children were saying like, I feel different or something.
Yeah.
You know. Or even that there was another book that was like, wasn't even like a person. It was like a like, I don't know if it was like a blob or something, but there was no like any kind of gender on it, and it was just kind of like, they have friends, they go to school, like,
Yeah. That was like kind of like the book that I was reading.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
it's as simple as that.
It's and in doing so, like that book, you're educating a child on how to use they them pronouns. You're educating a child in letting them know that there are so many different types of humans out there, and that the possibilities are endless, and how much more like that in itself, I feel like shows that the world is so much more beautiful because we're all different.
Yeah.
And that is the beauty of this world, is that we're all different.
Definitely.
And I don't know. It's just it just seems like common sense.
It really,
you know?
right?
But
you would think
you
common
would
sense
think.
means it's common, though, and it's not that common.
It's not that common, but I mean, we
really-
need to have more conversations like this.
We do. And I feel like, too, like, it's I just don't know if sometimes maybe, like, you know, I don't know, straight couples don't know how to approach it, or don't care enough, or think, oh, it can never be my kid. Like,
That's what they think.
that's what it is.
There
So,
are people in my life that have kids, and I know they push the straight agenda so hard. They push it on their kids so hard, and that in itself, it just like, it really like hurts, and it's sad because it's like, don't you just like want your kid to be themselves?
Yeah.
If you really love someone unconditionally, you want them to be themselves. You don't want to like suppress them from who they are, and in doing so, like, you could prevent mental health issues for someone that you love,
Yeah.
especially if it's your child.
Yeah, that I'm like, wouldn't you want to just wouldn't you really just want to see who your child is at their core and like really get to know them? Isn't that why you have children? I mean, call me crazy. I don't have children, but isn't that why people have children? Is like to, you know, isn't that the exciting part is to find out who they are and like what they bring to this world? Like,
Show them compassion.
Yeah,
Show them
I mean,
what compassion can be.
love, shocker, I know.
Yeah.
But
Actual love.
unconditional love. I mean, call me
You would think.
talking crazy now.
Yeah. Yeah, but I feel like sadly in our society, I think especially like our generations and the generations before us, like we've only really encountered like conditional love.
Yeah.
Even in families, even with parents and children.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, I do commend my mom for she never really like, you have to do the girls' work. She never really, because she was like, I don't like cleaning. We're not cleaning. And like, you know, she kind of like gave me a little leeway in that. I really do commend it because it wasn't, I mean, my dad's a traditional guy, but she was like, okay, I'm going to do whatever I want still, like, which was great. A good example to see. Even like with haircuts, she was always like, it's, you know, it's your hair, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And like she also passively didn't want to argue about it. So, you know, but like, I mean, I'm close with her now because she let me be who I'm, you know, who I am.
She respected you.
And I think that, yeah. And I think that's why I am closer with her, is because the respect is there. And like, you know, she didn't fight about the little things that were like trivial. That's like, it's your hair, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like, it's if you want to look stupid or you want to like wear all orange like I did.
And ultimately,
you can do that.
That's what it's about. That's really what it's about.
Yeah.
And so, I think you've mentioned it before, but like,
Tell me.
even just like you coming out to her, like, how does she react to that?
With that, she was mostly like, because I'll tell it a little bit again, because I came out on Instagram and I saw her like a day or two later and I was like, so do you see my Instagram? Because I knew that she had saw it, because you can see who sees them.
Yeah.
So I was like, so, and she's like, yeah. And she was working and she's like, had her head down kind of, she's like, what does that mean? And I was like, it means what it says. Like, I'm bisexual. Like, that's what it means. And she was like, oh, okay. And she's like, well, what does that mean with like Bernie? And I was like, oh, nothing changes. Like, it just is who I am. And I was like, I know at one point you had mentioned like that you thought I was gay, like when I was younger. And I was curious as to why that was. And she was like, oh, it's just your mannerism. It's your vibe. And I was like, well, yeah, kind of. She's like, but I never said anything because you've always dated, you know, guys. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, what do you think about that? And she was like, oh, like, it was kind of the same thing that my younger brother said, like, duh. Like, she was like, oh, no, I don't think anything. I love you. And like, that's great. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, but it's just like, it's kind of what Adrian was saying. It's a little bit frustrating. Like that response, I'm thankful for that response because not a lot of people get that response. And I know it's a privilege to have that response and have parents. And also I was older, so the fear of getting kicked out or anything like that was lessened. But I know that a lot of people don't get that. But at the same time, it's like, well, what if it's not a big deal? How come I felt that I couldn't do this earlier? I couldn't tell you. And maybe it's because there was no representation. Maybe it's because of the comments I heard about other family members. It's a combination of that, you know, maybe it's a combination. We grew up in an era where like saying like that's gay for something bad was real, you know, everybody said that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a combination, but like even as close as we were, I still felt like I could never ask about that.
Yeah.
Because the door wasn't open. So I feel like that's another tip is for parents. I don't know why we're giving tips, but that's another thing for parents is like make that door open.
Yeah.
You know, and know that it's okay. I figured it would be okay. I just was always too afraid. And because of the lack of representation, I didn't know what that was. I still liked guys. I didn't understand what the other part was. I didn't understand why I never emotionally clicked with, you know, a woman because I was too...
You were too scared.
There was my panic. It was too scary. You know?
It's true.
It's just like, that's kind of even, I knew she loved me and I know she loves me, but it was still scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just goes to show it's like that inner child, like what did they do as like when we were kids that made us feel like that even as an adult?
And even that, my aunt who is gay is her sister. So like I knew she would understand that part of it, but just I guess as a child I needed her to open that door.
Yeah.
But I know that I know parenting is hard, hence why I'm not a parent.
Same.
It looks hard. But I for future parents or people who are listening or aunts, uncles, like that kind of thing, like I just like want you to know like you can open that door and absolutely nothing can happen, but the door needs to be open. It needs to be a conversation. It needs to be represented. Even if your child is, straight as an arrow, it gives them a better understanding of the people that they're going to meet in the world. And I think that is the lack of what our generation had and the ones before, is that we never got an idea of other people. So as a human species, what's different is scary to us.
Yeah.
Automatically.
And touching on, I do kind of want to touch base on kids too. Like the expectation, like I feel like it has to do with heterosexuality where there's an expectation of, oh, everybody has to have kids too. That also plays a big part into this topic, I think. And how that's pushed on everyone. And it's like you are looked down upon if you decide not to have children.
Yes.
Why is that?
Yeah, it's actually, this is another reason why representation matters, because we met a couple recently and we really like them, and they're older than us and they don't have children.
Yeah.
And that night I remember telling Bernie, like after the second night we hung out, because we hung out a lot, that night I told him, I was like, it's really nice to see an older couple and they don't have children and they're older than us to where they might be out of the range of where they possibly could. And it's nice to see that they're still happy, because what we've been told our entire lives, you don't have children, you're going to grow old alone and no one's going to take care of you and blah, blah, blah. And you're missing out on the most joyous thing of life. And that's not what it's like for everyone.
No.
It was really nice to see them really happy, and it doesn't look like they're lacking anything in their life, and they made that decision and they're okay.
Yep.
And like that felt really good for me, because at the core of my being I do worry about that sometimes, like, will I regret it? But I'd rather regret not having them than regret having them.
Yeah. And some people will say, no, you'll never regret having them. But it's like, I don't know. I know some people that are like not the greatest parents.
I know a lot of people who complain about their children.
Yeah.
And to me, that's frustrating, because I feel like you brought them into this world, one. Two, like, I don't know. They're supposed to be these magical beings. Yeah, you can complain because it's hard and motherhood's hard and fatherhood's hard. I get that. But to do it to their faces is the stuff that just breaks my heart. 'Cause I'm like, it's another thing, like, as equal as representation is, like, that's the same thing. You're representing to them that they are a nuisance to you.
Exactly.
And that is just so
Horrible.
freaking heartbreaking. Like,
horrible.
you can see them die inside a little bit. It's frustrating. I'm like, then why have them? I know that it's not sunshine and rainbows the entire time. That's not what it's supposed to be. I get that. But it's to vocalize it to their faces or over here. A lot of people don't realize how much kids hear when you're talking in a room.
Oh, yeah.
We did as kids. Like, the homophobic words may have not been said to my face, but I heard them.
Yep.
I heard your conversation. I heard you guys call each other gay in a negative connotation. Like, I heard that.
Yeah. I've seen it a lot with like our generation. Parents had children and they have children because they want someone to take care of them, which that is not a reason to bring a child into the world. You should never bring a child into this world because you want a favor.
Yeah.
You should never bring a child into this world if you are not emotionally available for this child. And you should never bring a child into this world if you're not going to be seeking your child. That is a huge one. I feel like a lot of parents will have will have kids and they'll be like, well, I did this for you, I did that for you, and hold it over their head. And it's like, we didn't ask to be born. You decided to make the decision to be a parent. Now you are forever have to be seeking me. It is not the child's job to seek the parent. That is a very wrong misconception that I feel like we see a lot.
Yeah. And I also want to say, obviously, I don't even think if you know us, this needs to be said. This excludes any outstanding circumstances where there was no choice and
Yeah.
things like that. Obviously, we don't mean that, because I
Absolutely.
don't want anyone to feel hurt by that. That's not what we mean. But when you make, hey, we got married, we're going to have a kid in 3 years, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's just so frustrating because it's shocking to me. This is why I don't have, I'll be real, this is why I don't have children. I don't feel like I can be emotionally available for them. I don't feel like I could give it my all that I would want to be given to me. I don't feel like I could do that. So that's why I don't have children. Whether I run out of time or not, that's not the problem. Like, quote unquote time. Because I also, for me, adoption is also an option.
Yeah.
Like that's, we've talked about that before. Me and my partner have talked about that before, is that's an option for us. It doesn't have to be our biological seed. Like children need homes, and I would love to give a home, if we're able and emotionally available, I'd love to give a home to a child who would need it. Like, it's shocking. I would love to have them have love.
Yeah, shocking.
Yeah.
And there'll be times too where I've encountered, like, there was a point where I was like, maybe I do want kids, but maybe I'll adopt. And people will bash on people that want to adopt because they're like, but it's not your kid and it's not at the same level, or they're not going to look like you. I'm sorry, but if you're having a child just so that you can have a clone, that is not a reason to have a child.
I've heard that a lot when we mention it, like, but they have problems and they've been abandoned, and I'm like, yeah, what better, what better reason to give them a home where they can stabilize? Like, it's, I don't know, or we've talked about that, like foster parents. So we're just kind of like, but I've heard that that's really hard too. Like, I don't know, like, community, I feel like giving a community means a lot to children. And like, I don't see them as these, written off humans. Like, for me to be like, oh, they have problems, like, for anybody to say that, it's just like, you're okay, so they never can have anybody love them because they have problems, because they've had troubles in life. It's so
bizarre
frustrating.
I have people in my life that have told me that.
Yeah, same.
And it's just very disheartening, and it really says a lot about you. Like, I'm not trying to bash anybody, but it says a lot about you if that's the first thing that you're thinking about.
Well, that first thing they're thinking is like, oh, but they're going to inconvenience you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that wouldn't be an inconvenience if I choose to, help this child or whatever, it's just really frustrating. That whole thing is so frustrating. And we've gotten that for a long time. It's like, oh, you're going to have kids. When are you going to have kids? I know I can't put 100% in. We both know we can't. We're both working on ourselves. Hence why we do not bring another child or a human into the world.
And sometimes I'm like, do people not think about this? Like, one of the reasons I don't want to have kids is I want to do whatever the fuck I want for the rest of my life. That sounds, to me, that sounds way more enjoyable. And call me whatever you want to call me, or call me crazy, but I'm gonna be happy crazy. And I'm not going to burden anybody to take care of me. That is what long-term care is for. Yeah. That is, that's where that comes in. So if you really want to burden your child by making them take care of you, and that's why you want someone, that's why you want to reproduce, that's not a reason to reproduce.
That's why we get that a lot. You don't have kids, and then they're like, oh, I'm so tired, we didn't get to do this, we can't do that, and we just kind of chuckle because it's like, well, we can because we don't have them.
Exactly.
Like, it's, I'm like, we get to sleep in, I don't have to be woken up. Like, I know, like, a lot of times too, because I've had talks with one of my brothers, and like, I was visiting with my nephew and like holding him. I was like, oh, he's like really sweet and it's like so cuddly, and he's like, that's like the best part. I'm like, yeah, but this isn't it 100% of the time. This is 2 minutes out of our entire day where he was screaming his head off the whole time. Like, to me, I mean, not that it's not worth it, but to me right now in this time frame when I don't want to, and I feel like that too, when a lot of people don't want to, the being forced to take care of it is just so much more. It's just so much more mental damage on the child because they know that you're being forced to take care of them.
Yeah,
and
they feel that.
Yes.
Yeah.
They feel that.
It's energy exchange, quantum physics.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm just like, I can do the couple we met they don't have children and they were older, but I was like, there's no way that's your age. I'm like, oh, because they're not stressed out. That's why they look so young.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds great. I'm
It
like, if I could be
does.
90 years old, not fucking worrying about anything,
Wow.
but myself.
I was gonna
well,
say-
actually, I don't want to live past 80.
Well, I was gonna say, actually, I don't really care about having someone take care of me because I don't plan on living like that super long. Like, I don't want to be that old, so
Yeah,
I won't need it.
Yeah. I'm like, pull the trigger at 80.
Oh my god. I mean, but same.
I'll call you to do it.
Yeah, well, this
Just be like, pretend it was an accident.
is very morbid.
Just be like, whoops.
Wow. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know. All that to say,
To say,
fuck the straight agenda.
fuck the straight agenda.
There you go. You got a F word out of me.
Yes.
Apparently, everybody liked when I cussed on the live, the last live.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
You need to do it more, friend. Oh yeah, well, we gotta pull a card. Okay, so that's
Oh.
gonna be the ending
Oh,
of
okay.
this topic. But we are gonna pull a card for everyone. We didn't do it last week because Adrian was here, but we are.
We liked it. We hope you
liked
liked
it.
it.
Yeah.
So, all right. What does the collective need to hear? Ooh,
I love the sound.
I know. ASMR. Let me know if you see one pop.
Okay.
My hands are too small.
Sometimes
Sometimes it takes a while. Oh, it's a doubler because they're sticky.
Doubler.
Doubler. Okay. All right. Collective. We have the bee. It's a little bee card. It's really, really pretty.
Oh.
So we have soul work and love are the two cards that we pulled. So I'm gonna read from them. The book. I'm not a pro master
I
yet.
love it.
Yet.
A matter of a week knowing you.
So rude. Soul work. Sometimes while we are navigating our day-to-day life, we can lose sight of our highest purpose in this earthly realm. This card asks you to once again check in with your soul purpose. It is not possible to be derailed from your soul path no matter where you are, but clarity does help us show up for it in a more intentional way. Sit with these questions. What are you here to teach? What are you here to learn? What stirs in your heart? Spend some time reflecting upon your soul mission and how you can integrate it into your life. That's beautiful.
that.
I mean, I hear you, universe. All right. I've been getting some messages lately that are they're very repeated
Yeah.
and clear, and I even got one that said stop ignoring. Stop ignoring us, basically. Okay, I hear it. Okay. All right, the other card is love. This card is an intention to examine love in all facets of your life. This is love of self, love of others, your healthy or not so healthy boundaries, your presence with others, your relationship with intimacy. If you feel seen and heard, passion and joy and total responsibility. This card could signal a need to build a better relationship internally or maybe with a partner, in your business or work life, or even towards a goal or hobby. It could also be a reminder that love is a choice.
Oh.
There we go, everybody. Choose to love.
Choose to love.
Yeah,
What a beautiful way to end.
definitely. I love this.
Me too.
We're sticking with this.
We're sticking with this. I hope we all enjoy it. But if you don't, well, too bad.
Wah, wah, wah.
Wow.
Love
Love
it.
it.
Love it.
All right. I guess we're gonna do the socials.
Socials. All right. Please follow us at One Thing Queer on Instagram. And my personal Instagram is SpexRayX.
And my personal Instagram is at Jenny Lynn Bouton, and my spiritual page that is kind of on hiatus at the moment until I find a place to live. If you want to go follow it on there, it's Celestial Light Witch. And if you would like to be on the podcast and join us for an episode, or if you have any questions, or if you'd like to share any stories with us, feel free to email us at onethingqueer@gmail.com.
Excuse me, I burped. And also, give us a follow on TikTok. It's One Thing Queer Podcast. Jenny posted a super embarrassing one today. If you would like, because an episode came out. So if you'd like to see that, that was, today meaning last Tuesday when you're listening this, when Adrian's episode came out. That was embarrassing. So.
It's like gasolina.
It's rough. I forgot we did that one. I was like, oh boy.
I mean, to be fair, it's embarrassing for me too.
Okay,
so
all right, cool.
We're both embarrassed together.
Go check that one out. Yep.
All right, I guess that's gonna wrap it up for this week's episode of One Thing Queer. Make sure to tune in next week for a whole new show.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. All right. We'll see you then.
We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye. Graphics by BexUniverse.co. Music by Jacody.